What's up, you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today we have another installment of the 75k Q&A. Now I do have to kind of point this out, mainly because of the fact that the last episode ran so long, and I answered so few of your questions, so I'm thinking I'm gonna have maybe another 2 installments after this, and I thought it might be a good idea to kind of drop them off in like a weekly run, mainly because of the fact that it's like a nice little tradition that we can get back to. How do you guys feel about that? Let me know how you feel about that setup in the comments below. But without ado, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the real juicy bits. So Timothy Motts asks, what does it take to play with you in game? I've tried asking this before with no response. Well, I'm very, very sorry that we haven't been able to respond to you. However, it's very, very simple. If I'm in-game and I'm in a mission, it's most likely public. I don't have the time to waste to like try to set up groups or do anything fancy. Usually, I just bring a setup that's good to take care of whatever situation we're about to jump into. And then if I gotta carry, I gotta carry. It's that simple. The other way that you can play with me is if I'm currently streaming. You can visit me over at twitch.tv/agayGuyPlays. And if I'm on, then all you have to do is send me an in-game message at operative_shift. Just whisper me there, and what we can do is I have a little bit of a tab queue that goes in during my stream. So, you know, first come, first serve. Whenever the little tab pops up in your chat box, I take that first person, invite them, second person, invite them, third person, so on and so forth. So that's how it basically breaks down. I don't really gate that against anything. I'm really super casual and easily about all that stuff. The only thing that I will warn you against, and I mean, you know, you could try, but I'd really rather not, is I don't like it when people message me in game and say, hey, can you do this mission with me? I'm like, boo, if I'm on and I'm not playing, like in a game, in a public match, I'm probably doing something. I'm probably building something. I'm probably doing some fashion frame or doing some research. And I can't really like drop what I'm doing in order to just play with anybody and everybody, because this is like my job. So part of it is kind of like, I gotta get out content, I gotta do my research, so sorry, but you know, I'm gonna have to pass. Y'all can just hit me up when I'm in a public mission or when I'm on stream. It's really that simple. Now, moving along, thank you for whoever just followed me on Twitch. Let's move on to the Geek God. They ask, hi Rob, how is life? And how do you feel meeting these milestones? Where do you expect to go from here? So, life is great. Life is absolutely fantastic, except for the fact that taxes are coming up and I'm a little bit scared to death. Because usually, with all of my previous jobs, like whenever I pay taxes, I would get tax returns. And I think that this might be like the first year that I actually have to like pay taxes, and I'm scared out of my mind. Mogamu's been telling me some scary stories, so I'm like, ooh, am I gonna be okay? We'll see. However, if that is the worst thing that I am afraid of, if that's the scariest thing going on with my life right now, then my life is not bad, right? We always got to keep the positivity up, because legit, there's worse things that could happen to us, and if taxes is what I'm running scared from, then I should be cool. Now, moving on to like, how do I feel meeting these milestones and where do I expect to go from here? Well, I'm gonna be frank with you. I'm really bad at noticing milestones. Another commenter had left a comment saying that they were on my stream when I realized that I hit 25k followers on Twitch. I usually don't notice them. I usually am kind of like a keep moving forward, get on your grind, get on your hustle. And you know, everybody was kind of like always talks about Warframe is a grind, this and that and this and that. Life is a grind. Life is legit a grind. So for me, I'm always kind of moving forward. I try not to look back too much. However, you know, like some of my friends, like Life of Rio says that one of the worst things that I do is that I never celebrate my victories. So every now and then, you know, I'll do a Q&A just to kind of like celebrate it. But beyond that, it's like, keep moving forward. So my goal for this year, however, I do want, like, I'm crossing my fingers, and I don't know, maybe y'all can help me out in some way, shape, or form. But I really want to hit 100k before the end of the year. It's a big, big ask. My channel is not trending to hit that, but I'm crossing my fingers. And I mean, numbers don't really mean much. Subscriber numbers don't mean as much as views, which are very, very important to me. Views are definitely more important to me than anything. So it's kind of like that number doesn't really mean that much, but it's like, I don't know, it's a signifier that you kind of did it. So I'm crossing my fingers that we see that before the end of the year. We'll get there eventually, but you know, it would be nice. It would be a nice, like, birthday and Christmas present at the same time. Like, celebrate some No to We Ho victories by hitting 100K. That would be nice. Now, this next question is gonna divide the community big time. I'm kind of scared to answer it, but I need to speak the truth on this because both Phil Greenfeeder and Q-Tip ask, pineapple on pizza? And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I like pineapple on pizza, but it has to be very specific pizzas because it does not belong on every single pizza. I really like pineapple on pizzas that maybe have a little bit of a spice or kick to them. So my favorites are, I like it on barbecue chicken pizza. And then I also have, like, you know, I like it on pepperoni pizza. Like, you do pineapple, pepperoni, some red onions, and a little bit of jalapeno. Like, you get some of that spicy and you get some sweet and tart. Like, I am down for that. However, I don't feel that, like, pineapples go with mushrooms. I'm not super into, like, pineapple and mushroom combinations or pineapples and peppers. I already don't like peppers, so kind of like having those two together is like, that just does not seem right. But yes, I am very much pineapple on pizza. That is my team. I believe strongly in it. Austin Lawrence asks, was a kind of follow-up, what is my favorite pizza? So I've already kind of mentioned them. I do like barbecue chicken pizzas a lot. And I always like the combination of red onion, jalapeno, and pineapple. So, like, you could do that on pepperoni pizzas, you could do that on barbecue chicken pizzas, but sometimes every now and then, a good old pepperoni pizza is all you need. That, a little bit of ranch dipping sauce for your crusts, good. Maybe just a little sprinkle of the red pepper flakes. Yes, just sometimes you want the simple and then sometimes you want the extravagant. So those are kind of like my two ends of the spectrum. Love both of those, but I'm down to try a lot because pizza is usually pretty good no matter what. Now, Carrot Fox asks, what is your favorite phallic shaped food? Simply put, y'all had to have seen this coming, but sausages. Sausages, of course. I was thinking, like, for a moment, I was thinking pretty hard about this. I'm like, what is my favorite phallic shaped food? Because, you know, I do like me some eggplants, cucumbers are yummy, but sausages, they're meaty and juicy, and they're nice and firm when you cook them up right. I'm like, ooh, taste. Listen, I challenge anyone in the comments below to let me know another phallic-shaped food. And it has to be not a food that you shaped into a like, you can't say, I made pizza and I made it into, like, a phallic shape. No, it's got to be like sausage, because sausage comes in casing, and that's, you know, and that's phallic. You can't make up something else. It's gotta be that. So I challenge you to go in the comments and let me know if there's a better phallic shaped food, okay? So moving on to a little bit more serious stuff. Karma asks, my question for you is, how well do you think Digital Extremes is doing so far with Warframe, and how do you think they can better the game for beginners and veterans? We just jumped in deep. We jumped in from, like, meaty sausages into, like, the real deal, right? So for me, I'm gonna be completely honest. I feel that DE is doing as best a job as human beings can do. They've had a lot of wins over their time. There's a lot of amazing, brilliant things that they come up with. Occasionally they slip up, but that's human. And I think that's what a lot of people forget, is that these are people that go home to their families or go home to, you know, their pets, or they, you know, they're just normal human beings. There's nothing, like, crazy or different about them. They're not a corporation. They're legit, like, our age. You know, they're our age and they're doing it and they're making it happen. And you have to kind of, like, be realistic with the fact that you make mistakes, they make mistakes, we all make mistakes. But a good chunk of the time, we rocking out to the shit that they put out. And so when they dropped, like, PoE and they surprised us all, it kind of reminded us that we're thinking within this box of what we think Warframe is, and they're thinking beyond that box, which I've always liked about them. They're thinking on the extreme end of the spectrum. And then sometimes we're like, that's too extreme. But I believe that they have the best intentions and they are busting their butts for us. Is it always perfect? No. But for the most part, I think that they've had way more hits than they've had misses. Now, What do I think that they can do better in this game for beginners and veterans? Oh, I'm so excited that you asked this question because we can talk about the butt plug analogy. I love this one so much. So the issue with Warframe, at least as I currently see it, is that we have new players starting off like right here, right? So we have a little bit of this, and then literally it like fans out like this. Like, it's like the first few quests, they got to get through the first few mainline quests, then it's just spread out. It's just like everything's all in, right? And the issue with that is you have newer players that have to figure out mods, arcanes, rivens, sentinels and companions. They have to figure out warframes. They have to figure out all of these things after you know, the War Within. And the thing is, we talk about the War Within, and many of us feel like it's so far off because a lot of the people who have been here have been veterans, so they've seen it trickle in. You know, it's slow for us. It's taken 5 years to get us to where we are now, right? It's taken that long. We've been waiting for these quests for a long time, so we think of that as like spread out. But for newer players, legit, you could hit Mastery Rank 5 and you could be doing the War Within your first weekend if you really buckle down, right? If you really just slam it out, or you have someone power leveling you, literally, you could be Mastery Rank 5, and then after that, you gotta deal with fighting Eidolons, you gotta deal with working through Focus, you gotta deal with Arcane, and I'm like, that's a lot for a new player, right? And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have all of these veterans that are like, well, what are we doing? So on one end of the scale, we have these kids over here that have so much to do, and on the other end of the scale, we have veterans who are like, I've run out of things to do, right? So if I'm going to be frank, the number one thing that DE could do to better the game for beginners and veterans is they got to gauge out their progression. They got to figure out a better way to do their progression system. They have to make mastery rank matter. Because legit, you know, if you're first 5 to 10 mastery ranks, we're all focused on getting mods, mod acquisition, leveling up mods, endo, learning Warframe and Sentinels. If you just had that like first 5 to 10 mastery ranks just focused on that and that alone, boom, you're good, because you got to teach the new kids those rules. Then after that, maybe mastery rank 10 to like 15, they start learning about rivens and arcanes. Right? They gotta kind of gate these things out. Then after that, like Kuva and all of that, because you have to introduce things to them slowly, and then slowly expand, and then get all in there. And that's genuinely how I kind of like feel when we talk about butt plugs. You just give them a little bit, give them a little bit more, give them a little bit more, give them a little bit more. Because if you gate it out for people and really take the time to teach the new kids things, don't give them anything new, because they don't need anything new. They already have so much to deal with. Don't make content for new players. Make content for the veterans. What you need to do is make better tutorials for the new players. That's the only focus that you need. Because I know that a lot of companies out there, and this is something that one of my companies told me, is like, listen, you lose 10% of your clients every year. So you need to be gaining 10% or more of your clientele. So you need 10% to stay where you're at. You need more than 10% to grow every single year, right? So I think that DE is putting out lots and lots of new content, lots of flashy things for newer players to try to attract them to get into Warframe. But I think what's happening is that a lot of new players become overwhelmed and leave because there's so many things they feel like they have to do. And then because of the fact that DE is so busy creating content for newer players, they don't create content specifically targeted to keeping their veterans. New players are overwhelmed, the veterans are bored out of their mind. So the whole thing is less up here and more down here. You see that? So that's kind of like the way that I think that they should really focus, because if you're losing from the beginning and you're losing from the end, that's kind of harsh. And I'm not saying that that's the case. They have the stats on this, so I might be completely wrong in my approach. But again, I think better tutorials for beginners and more content for the veterans. Very simple. S. Taylor Sensei asks, how do you feel now that Warframe is receiving lots of traction in the gaming media? Is it any different now that more people recognize the game and appreciate it? I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't feel like it's hit the mainstream as much. Like, I've seen games go bigger. I've seen games be even bigger and be even more mainstream. For some reason, I think, and I don't exactly know what it is about Warframe where it can't gain the traction that it needs to become this big mainstream success, but that also doesn't mean that Warframe isn't successful, because Warframe is extremely successful. We're in the top 20 and most of the times even in the top 10 of the Steam Play charts. And the thing about that is I don't even play on Steam. They don't even count me. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't play on Steam at all. In fact, if you're one of those people that is a PC player and you don't play on Steam, leave that in the comments as well. I'm curious to know that, because I know that a lot of players don't play on Steam. So there's that and even more. So they're successful, and I don't ever feel like Warframe has had a booming success. I've seen it covered more, and I've seen a lot more people play it, but it hasn't necessarily like rocket packed out there. So it's nice though to see outlets like the No, outlets like Jim Sterling, like all of those people that I've watched and I've like looked up to, acknowledge the fact that it's a fucking good game. And because it is a fucking good game. So it's nice to see that, just to reassure myself. I'm like, I'm right. I know I'm right. So moving on from that, we have a really, really long question. It's from I don't know what to type. I'm fairly recent. I have about 70 days or so, and I notice a lot of people have joined as well. There has been a lot of YouTubers talking about it and bringing up Warframe. I was curious if this has happened before, and if so, when. But also, has this changed the game recently? Have you seen DE going in a new direction, and do you think that it's sustainable? Like, are all of these new people gonna vanish in a month or so, or do you think this game is hitting that big mainstream breakout where it'll become a name that everybody knows? Now, I think we already kind of touched about its mainstreamness. I think that a lot more people are jumping on board, and that's mainly because of the fact that other games are fucking up. And it's kind of like, you don't necessarily want to attribute your game's success because other games are fucking up. You want to, you want to have your success based on the fact that I made something dope. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, DE has kind of changed gears a little bit recently with their landscapes. But I don't think that that has really to do with the fact that YouTubers or the mainstream media is picking it up a little bit more. I think it's the fact that they had a concept that was really good. It hit it big. Like, a lot of the media outlets picked up on it. And the players, even though there are some players that have issues with the planes, there's a lot that absolutely love it. And the thing is, having a big open world environment is really, really cool and very, very new for Warframe. So they have kind of pivoted on that. Of course, we have seen the death of raids come along with that. They're like, we're going to focus more on landscapes, and we're going to kind of like, let raids, we're going to put raids on a DNR right now. We're not bringing those back for a little bit. But legitimately, I don't think it's a change for them, but it's kind of like, we won. Let's do more of the things that we won on. It's kind of like, people said this was good and they liked it, so let's give them more of what they liked. Which is, to be completely honest with you, a very, very DE thing. DE is very close with their community, and they listen to what their community is doing. So when their community likes something, they're going to give them more of that kind of stuff. Now, do I think it's sustainable? I think that DE is very good at sustaining things. We've been going for 5 years now, and let me tell you, as a veteran, I've heard it all. Warframe is dying. Warframe is going away. They're losing so many this and so many that. 5 years later, we're still in the top, we're still in the top 20, 15, top 10. We're still up there, and there are some games that have been deceased, that have literally, y'all remember when Evolve was a thing? Do you remember Evolve? Do you remember what happened with Titanfall 2? Bye-bye. Remember Lawbreakers came through for a hot second? Oh, that did not last. Oh, Division? Well, Division's coming back. I heard Division is doing good. They're coming through, and I'm like, okay, good for you. Remember all of those? Yeah, like, what's good? Like, what's happening with that? We're still rolling 5 years later. So I think that DE is very good at creating a sustainable game, not just for themselves, but also for the players. I think they've done a fantastic job so far, and I hope that they will continue to do a good job in the future. Now, will they? We have yet to see it, but, you know, everybody's, you know, doomsday predictions for Warframe have really not panned out. But yeah, what do you call this? Let's go and jump into Mr. Fizzle. Why did you stay with Warframe when it was released 5 years ago, especially picking up Excalibur Prime when his 4 was not Exalted Blade back then and etc? Man, this is one of those, like, back in the day questions. But legitimately, I think the reason that I stayed with Warframe is their characters, and I saw something there. You know what I mean? I saw the way that they treated their characters. I saw the way that they treated their community. I saw how much they loved their game. Like, they genuinely love their game. There's so many developers out there that are pushed to do things and to create things that are not, that they don't have their heart and soul into. And I think that DE legitimately puts blood, sweat, and tears and soul into the game. And I saw that. And I'm going to be honest with you, at first, I wasn't actually going to buy my, like, Founders Pack. I wasn't going to do it. I was thinking, that's a lot of money. And then I kept playing, and I kept playing, and I'm like, well, you know, they said that this is going to be exclusive, yada, 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 so on and so forth. Let's go and pick it up. So I went ahead and picked it up, and I've just seen the game grow, like, from there. Like, for those of you guys who don't realize what we didn't have, and everybody always gets salty about the Founders Pack, this is $200. Alright, I think it was like $200-ish, something along those lines. It was expensive. But you have to remember, we only had one tile set. So we didn't have Earth, we didn't have Uranus, we didn't have the icy outside areas, we didn't have Grineer tile sets, we didn't have Infested tile sets, we didn't have any of the bosses that you see now except for maybe the Sergeant, we didn't have Arkwing, we didn't have Kubros, we didn't have Kavats, we barely had any Sentinels, we didn't have Universal Vacuum, we didn't even have Vacuum back then. And we had so, like, few. We didn't have Equinox, we didn't have Augments, we didn't have Arcanes, no Nerja, no Wukong, no Chroma. We didn't have a lot back then. But I saw that spark, that they were passionate, and I had L'Oreal money. Because I was still working for L'Oreal back in those days. And I was like, I like the cut of your jib. Go ahead and take my money, and let's see where you go. And 5 years later, it feels absolutely amazing. And like this person said, they didn't have Exalted Blade either. We did not have any Exalted weapons back in those days. Holy crap, it was absolutely nuts. Now, to kind of go along with that, because I'm in a whole nostalgia zone, Phoenix Flame XV asks, do you have a favorite Warframe memory? I'm going to be completely honest with you, I have so many. And that's maybe why I've stayed with the game for as long as I have, is that Warframe keeps creating these amazing memories for me, and it makes me feel good. Like, there's tons. There's literally the day that I got partnered, because let me tell you right now, I mean, in those days, Rob was, you know, doing the gay factor. Rob, there was fisting talk. There's a lot of talk that we had, a lot of bodily fluid talk. And you know what? I still don't shy away from that these days. You know, we literally just had our butt plug analogy. But I came into Warframe with that content. I submitted my shit to Warframe. And legitimately, I was like... So they let in their first batch of people, right? They let in their first batch of people. I was like, oh, I didn't make it into the partner program. Oh, no. Did not make it into the partner program. And then... You know, next batch came in and, like, they're like, we accept you. I'm like, oh! I was like, holy Jesus, you accept me. And then, you know, the guy was running it at the time. I was like, I almost didn't think you were going to accept. And he was like, why would we not? And as soon as he said that, I was like, we're rolling together. We're rolling together. So that was a great Warframe memory. In fact, Actually, while we're on that subject, for all of you guys who have made it this far into the video, I'm actually going to go ahead and leave some glyph codes in the previous episode of the 75k Q&A. So the episode before this, go ahead and check that out. I'm going to toss that in the description. So, you know, to commemorate that little Warframe partnership memory. That was great. My first TennoCon was absolutely amazing. Just to kind of like be there and be with the community. It was nuts. Not only that, but being able to participate in events like the Gradavis Dilemma. I like loved the first time that they ever brought on the survival game mode. And trust me, survival is much different in that game mode than they actually brought into the game. It was absolutely nuts. There's just so many amazing memories. The first time you see the Arcwing trailer, that was amazing. Tons and tons of amazing things. Seeing Eidolons come up the first time, there's so many memories that it's hard to really keep track of what is my favorite. And maybe that's why I've stayed with Warframe for as long as I have, because continuously, they always bring the good shit. Now, Ultimate Ninja asks, or Ultimate Ninja 1984, 1984 asks, will you still love and dig Warframe in another 5 years? If Warframe and DE keep doing what they're doing, I bet they will. I bet I will still dig it in another 5 years, and I hope that the rest of you guys dig it too. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do. You know what I mean? Games, like, I think about Warframe in, like, my brain, and I'm like, there is only a specific span that Warframe, like, so many video games die out. You know what I mean? And a part of me is like, well, we're at 5 years. Can we make it to, like, 7 years? Can we make it to, like, 10 years? Like, where's the cutoff period for Warframe being absolutely amazing? And then I realized EverQuest is still going. World of Warcraft is still going. Why can't Warframe literally be the next World of Warcraft? The next, oh my god, what is that one where they fucking fly spaceships and there's like, listen, it's the one where they fly spaceships and shit, and they have like their own companies that they've built up. Listen, leave that in the comments too. But I am very curious for you guys. Exactly what was your favorite memory of Warframe so far? Maybe you're a newer player, maybe you don't have as much to dig in, but toss that in the comments. Let me know about your stance on phallic-shaped foods, maybe what your favorite pizza is. I don't want to hear, listen, y'all gonna fight too much about the pineapple thing, so don't answer that question in the comments. I'm not interested, okay? But that about does it for me for now. Don't forget to check on the glyph codes if you need the glyph codes. And that pretty much does it. So I will go ahead and see you guys next time with another installment. Also, let me know if you like this being like a weekly thing or if you want me to just do a big dump of them at some point. But as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.